जब तक है संसार अमर है राम भरत का प्यार, अमर है राम भरत का प्यार। सुना भरत ने हुआ राम को जैसे ही वनवास, दौड़े दौड़े पहुँच गए वो वन में राम के पास। राम के बदले न था भरत को राजपाट स्वीकार, है राम भरत का प्यार, अमर है राम भरत।
Hello, sir.
Hi, Bharat. You want to give me a call, or you can hear?
No, it's clear, sir. Would you have any material in mind that we need for class today?
Yeah. We'll be starting with a slide which says your spiritual horoscope, self and I.
Omkar, do you have it, or should I share it with you?
You got it, my friend.
Yeah,
No,
I should
I
have
have
it.
shared-
Just give me a. Yeah, I'll just look it up.
Sorry.
I have shared stuff with Omkar. So
So the Omkar. So you have to guide him which one I want, or I can tell him otherwise.
Sorry, sir. You said
One way.
spiritual horoscope, right?
Yeah.
Yes, I have that, sir. So I'll put that up after the invocation.
Yeah, it's number 8, but it's a PowerPoint. Huh?
Yes, sir. I have that.
Yeah. So we can start. Omkar, we can start.
Yes, sir.
Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Bhunatu Sahaviryam Karva Vahe Tejasvina Vati Tamas Tumavit Vishavahe. Om Shahanti Shahanti Shanti. Does anybody have any question?
Good morning, sir. I have
Good
a
morning.
question.
Yes.
From your last class, we were talking about thoughts. Where do these thoughts arise from? And we were using the analogy of a computer, software and hardware.
Yeah.
My question is, how do you delete your memory bank using the analogy of a computer? So
the analogy of the computer was meant to highlight the fact that the thoughts which you have in your memory is nothing but data storage, right? Those thoughts by themselves have no life, they are inert. That aspect of the computer you must appreciate. The data in the computer is just dots and dashes, no? Earlier, you used to write notes. So if you write physically, the data is only your handwriting, your writing there. So that has got no life in it. So similarly in the computer, but that is physical data. In the computer, it's amorphous. You can't see it. But you know for a fact that the data is there, wherever it is that the memory is stored. That data you have generated. It's a crystallization of your thought. The data you punched in, crystallization of your thought now stored as data. So that data by itself is enough. You have to connect it to the battery or the electricity for it to become alive. So similarly, the thoughts in your mind, when you become aware of them, you're listening to me now, no? So you're aware of this transaction of knowledge within you. You're aware. I'm aware that I'm talking. What makes you aware that you're listening to me now, and what makes you react to this listening is the self in you. Is not that which animates this thought in your mind just now. The animating faculty is different, and the thought is different. Just like what animates the data in the computer is the electricity. But what it animates depends on the quality of the data. So what reaction you have within you depends on the quality of your thought and your past thinking. But what animates it is the self. That aspect you have to understand. The self in you is pure consciousness, animating principle. That pure consciousness, when it impinges on a certain pool of thought, animates that thought and makes you aware of it, makes you conscious of that thought or of that feeling. You need to be a little patient, because the purpose of these next 2-3 classes is to demonstrate this abstract concept by visual slide. So if you're a little patient, you will get it. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
So we have 3 classes left. Is that correct, Bharat?
Yes, sir.
We got 3 classes left before I hand you back to the safe confines of Jankiji's kindness. This unsettling class. So in these 3 classes, we make use of some fellow students have this capacity to use this technology, and we've made some slides so that in and through the visualization which you will see on the screen, it helps us to understand. I'm not yet. Hello, just hang on. I'll give you the cue, Omkar.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
I'll give you the cue. So in and through this visualization, we will get to perhaps relate to abstract concepts in a more concrete manner. So we are doing Gnana Yoga knowledge. So there are 2 kinds of knowledge. One kind of knowledge is phenomenal knowledge, means how to make best use of what resources are there in the world. That's the scientists do. So as they move along in their own investigation, we make scientific, medical, technological breakthroughs, and we are indebted to them for all this scientific knowledge that goes on. But beyond scientific knowledge is the fundamental inquiry of what is called existential inquiry. Existential inquiry is, who am I? Why am I here? What is this mystery which is called God? How is God and I? How are we connected? And what is the equation of this world in this triangle of God, world, and me? How does it fit? So these questions are actually embedded in the human personality. They're part of your subtle intellect. They're embedded. So they come up, but we put them to sleep because nobody answers. This is called the investigation of mystery. The mystery of God, the mystery of the purpose of life, the mystery of how and why this world started. Mystery of the equation between God, man, and world. So the investigation of this mystery has been done by the philosophers. Philosophers are scientists who use the medium of logic and reason to investigate into the mystery of the origin. How did it start? So also, although that is a mystery, the investigation of mystery is scientific. That's what we have to understand. Logic and reason. And any scientific mystery or any mystery, if you want to resolve, there's a fundamental requirement. What is the fundamental requirement? Fundamental requirement is what you learned, or we have all learned from Swamiji, and through Janki, you must have learned that knowledge proceeds from known to unknown. So if you want to learn anything, you have to start with what you know and intelligently extrapolate into that which you don't know as yet. If you do that, if you maintain that connectivity, then you progress on your learning curve. So we just give an example just now as he's talking, that we're not able to understand that what makes you aware of your thoughts is the self, and your thoughts are inert. We are not able to understand. But when we give the analogy, you know for a fact that in the computer, the data is inert per se, it's just stored. And that which animates the data is the battery or the power. And in the power, there is no data, and in the data, there is no animating quality. You require to marry them. They require to be connected for an explosion of visual to take place. So that's moving from known to unknown. So similarly, the parallel is that our thoughts are also inert. But what makes those thoughts animated, you're aware of these thoughts, is the pure consciousness in you, which is another word for the spirit in you. That's a simple example. Now, when we want to understand the full picture, what's it all about? The crystallization of Gnana, of knowledge, is a two-liner. What is the crystallization of all knowledge? The crystallization of the marriage of these three mysterious quantities: God, why this world has been created, and who you are, where you come from. Crystallization of this is two-liner. What is it? I'm asking. Anybody volunteer? Not those who know, those who have. If it's striking you, what is the crystallization of it? Those who have studied scripture, you know the answer. What is the two-liner answer? I'm asking. Omkar.
So could you repeat that? Crystallization of true knowledge?
The crystallization of mystery. Mystery is, who am I? What is it that I really want? And how do I go about getting it? Mystery is, what is this mystery called God? How am I connected with it? And how did this whole world start? What is the equation between world and God and world and me? That's the mystery. All this mystery, when you break it up like that, is all amorphous. We don't know. But through logic and reason, and finally direct experience, the masters have told us simple two-liner. This is the solution. What is that?
Or is it that man plus desires is equal to God, sir?
No, that is true, my friend. That is true, my friend. That is that if you remove desire, you will get there. But when you get there, you will resolve the mystery. What is the resolution that will take place? He's telling you what is going to happen.
You realize you are the self. You are the self.
Arey, my dear, the resolution of the mystery is two-liner is the self alone is, this world is illusion. That is, it's the aphorism. Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya. Brahman alone is, this world is illusion. It's a bottom line of the whole thing is this. So all of us, we have found Vedanta very systematic and very logical. And that's why we come to the class. And then all of a sudden, this thing is put in front of us. The whole thing is illogical. How can this world be unreal? And number two, saying what is God? So the self in you, which enables you to think and feel, that alone is God. Anything else, any other understanding of God, you have to throw out of the window. That's what the Upanishad says. You know that you're able to hear, that which enables you to hear. That alone is God, not this which people worship. Throw it out of the window is wrong. So it's differently. But when we take it step by step and use appropriate comparisons and appropriate inferences, you will find that the whole thing makes a lot of sense. This is the attempt that we are going to do. You have to be a little patient. But first, I put on your screen the totality of the whole exercise. It's on your screen now. It's the self and you. First statement which is made there is, from the self you have come, and to the self you shall go. You have to take one thing for 1 minute. Don't put up that. Please, when I tell you, you put it up. One thing today you take for granted, that the self is the spirit in you, because that we've learned in the first lesson in Vedanta, that as a human, each one of us is an amalgam of spirit and matter. The spirit in us is the mystery, that belongs to the transcendental. And the matter is your body and intellect, your personality. So when the spirit in you animates your personality functions physically, sensually, emotionally, and intellectually function. So here the statement he is making is, from the self you have come, and to the self you shall go. Statement. Intuitively, how do you relate to this? You cannot understand that from the self I have come, but you can understand that to the self you shall go. It's an imperative. It's not a suggestion. How to relate to this statement from your own intuitive experience is what I'm asking, and your understanding of Vedanta so far. I'm asking this question.
So we are the fragmental part of the Supreme God.
No, that is you're saying because somebody else has told you. Forget it. From what your experience is, how do you relate to this, that to the self you shall go?
Sir, before entering mother's womb, I don't know where I was, sir. And after I die, where I go, I don't know. So that unknown thing.
That is why when you start functioning, you are exercising various choices, no, to do this, that, and the other. Each one of us has our own game plan in life. We want to do this, that, and the other. Why we want to do this, that, and the other? What's the bottom line of it? All of us, your children, want to pursue their life in their manner. You want to pursue in your manner. Everybody wants to pursue. The terrorist wants to pursue. His ambition in life is to annihilate one set of people who believes are his enemies. Whatever it is, everybody wants to do something. Why?
Does it fulfill one's desires?
Not to fulfill. When you fulfill desire, what will happen?
You are doing it for happiness.
So you fulfill the desire because you are hungering for happiness. So everything that you do is, bottom line of it is, in and through this will I become happy. Or you want to avoid sorrow. If I can't become happy, at least let me avoid sorrow. So you want to You want to get away. That's why you want holiday and vacation. Holiday and vacation enables you to avoid the stress and strain of daily life. You want to avoid sorrow. So everything that you do, I do. Bottom line is we want happiness. And what is the quality of happiness you want? What is the quality of happiness that you want? When you get married, what is the quality of...
It is temporary.
What is the quality of happiness you want, I am asking?
Permanent.
Permanent. We want permanent.
Permanent.
You want permanent happiness. No, that is what you want. You want permanent. You want a happiness which will not fade. This is what you want. This is the, however unnatural it may be, this urge never leaves you. Why, when a woman falls in love, what makes her hang on to that love? Or a boy falls in love, everybody says may not be correct, but he says, no, I want this lady, or I want, why? Why do you want?
Permanent happiness.
Everybody wants happiness, but the quality of happiness that love brings is eternal love. Eating chocolate cake will also bring happiness, no? So it's all right, chocolate cake is here, not there, not a big deal. But when you want to commit yourself to a lady love, or the lady wants to commit herself to you, that commitment brings with it the supposition that this love will never die. That is the power. There are various kinds of happiness. You understand, some will come, some will go. But some happinesses carry the promise of eternity. So a person who falls in love says, I want to make my life with him. You say, he's not the guy for you. No, I know I want to make my life with him, because with him I can never be unhappy. I'll always be happy. It carries the promise of eternal love. So in and through anything that we are doing, we are seeking actually eternity. This you must audit. When a couple gets married, they want children. Why they want children?
Again, same thing. Eternal happiness, because the child will grow up and cater to their requirements. Not because
child will grow up. When the mother gets the child, it animates that my child I have got. Vanity. That quality of happiness that is there in the mother, for that point of time, she feels complete. See, husband is there or not there? Is it of between child being there and not there, and husband being there and not there, which is more important as far as the mother is concerned?
She needs a child.
No. Her urge to possess the child is far more than the husband is only convenience. Without that, how to get? You follow? Well, child is essential, husband is non-essential. Because the completeness that she feels when she has a child is different from the completeness she has to tolerate the other two. The child is complete. So at any given time, what you are seeking in terms of happiness and joy is permanent, complete. Like that, you can keep going on and on. Otherwise, we won't end the class. The great people who have power, they want to be remembered in posterity because they know they will die. So they want a museum. Why they want museum? So their name will lie in posterity. So anything that we want at the end of the day is something that never dies. So therefore, it's not available. So only the self in you has that potential. That self is ever complete, immortal, and always in a state of infinite and permanent bliss. So that irrational search which you are attempting to get in the world is not there. That naturally is in the self in you. So therefore, ultimately you have to wake up. And at Beyond's point, to the self you will have to go to complete the search, which is exercise in futility if you want to look at the world. That is the evidence. internal evidence that points to this truth, that you may not know that you come from the self, that we have to derive. But whatever it is, to the self you will have to go. It's an imperative. Because the urge for happiness and completeness will never leave you till you become happy and complete, because it's your natural state. So that is corroborative evidence number one. Now you put the next one, please. Next slide. No, stop. No. The next one. Stop. Next slide is only, yes, thank you. Sorry, we get on the same page after a little trial and error. Don't worry.
Okay.
Don't worry about it. Now read the first sentence. It says, the self in you. When you read this, what do you have to understand? That within you is the spirit, and that is the self at this point of time. Within you, today you believe God is some super consciousness that is all encompassing, which is called Brahman, which also is true. It is everywhere. And you believe that one tiny fragment of that super consciousness is the self in you. That's what you believe now. Leave it. So he is now talking of the self in you. So the self, first of all, the self is that which will make you aware of everything that you are experiencing, which will make you conscious of everything that you are experiencing. So therefore, the self, uncontaminated by your personality, is the pure consciousness, which is the fourth state, which we will come to later on. It's pure consciousness, which remains whether you live or you die. God is not born, is not dead. The self in you is eternal, is the eternal constant. But we derive it later. So just now he's talking about the self in you. So you are the individuality. You are the individuality, which is a combination of spirit and matter. So the individuality is your conditioned consciousness, born of ignorance of the self. This is a mystery. It is a statement. We have to take this statement at face value and unravel this mystery in later slides. But at this point of time, you take for granted that the self in you is complete and is complete. But because of it's full and it knows that it is full, but you separate it, you become ignorant of that fullness which is within you. Once you become ignorant of fullness within you, you become aware of emptiness. You can't have it both ways. You can't become ignorant of fullness, automatically you become aware of emptiness. When you become aware of emptiness, you find hollowness within your personality. You find a demand. You want something to fill that emptiness. So when you want something to fill that emptiness, you see a world outside. And in that world outside, there is infinite supply. So when you gravitate towards that supply, which will fill this demand, you will feel happy. So this demand is your desire, and that supply over there is the world. So since you feel empty, born of ignorance of your own fullness, now you feel empty. Instead of seeing the self in its original form, you're seeing a world. The self is infinite. You're seeing the infinitude in its express form, which is the world. So when you see the world over there, you see the potential for filling all this emptiness that you have. That is why a woman wants a child, because you go to a restaurant to have your favorite meal, because it fills that void. It fills that void, you feel happy. So your individuality has come into play because of ignorance of your fullness. Ignorance of yourself has created your individuality. It is something that we have to examine later on, but it's a statement he's making now. Yes. Yes. Next step. Only the next one. Oh, ha. So the self in you now, your personality comes into play. So self in you animates now. Yes, yes. Next slide. It animates your mind. Ignorance, your mind is a storehouse of desire. Here you can take mind as mind and intellect both, it is fine. But your mind is the storehouse of desire, of wanting, and of your personality. The self in you animates your mind. Now your mind itself functions at 3 levels of consciousness. So when your mind is fully active, when it is connected to this physical body, it's fully active, fully available to you, you're functioning as the waker. So the self animating the waker's mind makes you recognize this waking world. Then later on you go to sleep, your mind disconnects from this physical body which you have because it's gone to sleep. Once it goes to sleep, it will animate, it will activate its subconscious content, subconscious aspect of your mind, minus this body which you have now. So when it animates the subconscious content of your mind, you experience life as a dreamer experiencing dreams. Next fellow there. And at a later time, your mind subsides into non-activity. All desires subside into your vasanas. So when they subside, there is no mental activity. At that point of time, you become deep sleeper or in deep sleep, experiencing deep sleep. So these are conditioned states. The self in you, conditioned by your fully conscious mind, is the waker. Self in you, conditioned by only the subconscious mind, is the dreamer. Self in you, conditioned by no availability of mind, you're unconscious of your mind at that point of time. So you experience your personality as a deep sleeper. This is what the statement is. We have to validate it later on. Yes, next slide. Next. Whichever state of consciousness is animated, the self in you, through your waking mind, projects the waking world. Through your dreaming mind, projects the dream world. Through your no mind, projects the world of nothingness, deep sleep. This is the equation. This is the equation. Don't miss it. The self is pristine by itself. Ignorance of that has produced your mind. Your mind functions at 3 levels of acuity. When it's fully available, fully conscious now, self in you functioning through your waker's mind is you now and this transaction that we are experiencing. At some point of time, it will get tired and fall asleep. When it falls asleep, you lose traction that you're the waker. And your subconscious mind becomes animated by the self in you. At that point of time, you believe you are the dreamer experiencing dream world. And when everything goes into coma, you say, I'm deep sleeper experiencing nothing, deep sleep. So all these worlds are animated by the self in you. Which means what? These worlds come into play when the self animates that mind, which means what?
These are not real.
Which means that the world comes into play after the mind comes into play. Because it is functioning through your mind, the world is projected through your mind. What you have to understand, you take this slide for granted. When you see this slide, it is not saying that there is a world in which you are entering. This slide is saying that once your mind has become conscious of itself, through the medium of your mind, that world is being projected. We are not talking of real, unreal. We are saying any world that you experience necessarily assumes that there is a mind behind it. The mind is the interface between the self and the world. Your mind is the intermediary between the self and the world. What does it mean, sir?
So if it's an intermediary, won't that assume that the world is there for there to be an intermediary?
No, you got the first step right. You're not getting the second step right.
Sir, it is just like
you put us on the right track and then you throw us off track. Who's speaking? But you did a very good job. Who's speaking?
it is like
1 minute. The gentleman is speaking, please. Oka, can you put him? Can you put him on a corner in the screen somewhere?
Deepraj.
It's me, Deepraj.
If I could, I don't know.
Deepraj, can you put your video on?
It says I can't. Zoom is on. Okay, wait.
Okay, don't worry.
Yeah,
So,
I cannot. Yeah.
Don't worry. Anyway, what is your name, sir?
Deepraj.
Deepak.
Deepraj. Am I audible?
Yeah, you are very audible. I'm scrolling through the names. What is the first? How do you spell your name?
Deepraj.
Deepraj. I can see you speaking now. Okay. Okay, Deepraj, you got the first thing right. What did you say first? That the
mind
for
is
the world to come into play, you require the intermediary interface of the mind. That's what you said first, no?
Yes, sir.
Because you are following this line of thought. You follow this line of thought. You may not believe it, but forget it, whether you believe or you don't believe. You follow this line of thought, you follow the logic behind it. The world cannot come into play unless the interface of your mind is there. That's what you said.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
So what is the next thing you said?
Yeah. Could you repeat, sir? I couldn't hear. Could you repeat the last line? I couldn't hear.
When you started articulating whether what you heard is correct, you said that the world comes into play when there is an interface of the mind. This is what the screen is saying. That ignorance of the self produces the mind. Mind is storehouse of desire. And it then, through the medium of the mind, it projects these worlds. And in that world, you fool around, getting what you want, doing what you want to do. So the world cannot come into play unless mind has come into play. Now what is it you want to do?
My question was regarding the world. So if the mind is an intermediary between the self and the world.
Correct.
Does that imply that both the self and the world are real?
You tell me.
Because for an intermediary, you must have two things that it is intermediating.
If something comes out of your mind, it is called what?
According
your dream world is coming out of your mind. No? That much you know, when you dream, the dream world is coming out of your mind. No?
The dream world is the projection of the waker's mind.
Correct. So it is, but the waker's mind is your mind.
Yes, but not
waker's
the dreamer's.
Mind is Deepraj, no. So Deepraj's mind is projecting the dream world, no. Your dream world, is it not?
Yes, but the dreamer's mind is not.
The dreamer is Deepraj, man. You know that you are the dreamer. After you wake up, you know that you dreamt. You follow. So when you dream, there is a dream world. So the dreamer sees his world as real. That's the whole point. But when you wake up, you understand that it was fake news. Deepraj.
I'm I'm trying to understand. So when we're in this conditioned consciousness of the dreamer, it is not the dreamer's mind that's projecting, but the waker's mind that's projecting.
Don't mix up the level. After you wake up, you realize that my mind projected this world.
Yes.
Does the dreamer know this?
No, the dreamer won't know this.
That's what I'm trying to say. So you wait for it. The dreamer believes this world is alone, stand alone. It was always there before him, it will exist after him. That's what the dreamer believes. After waking up, you understand that there cannot be a world unless it is being projected. You get it, Ipraj?
Yes.
So
yes.
That analogy we have to use. But the important point is, if you understand this concept, you have to understand that there is no world which exists outside of the mind. Self alone is. World can only come into play. Any world can only come into play if your mind has come into play. The mind only comes into play when it is ignorant of itself. You put a pause button there. We come to it later on. But since you are asking, this is how you start thinking. What is good? We'll do it later on, but it's good. So there are a couple of terminologies here that the waking state, dream state, deep sleep states are all conditioned states. The self in you, conditioned by the coloring of your mind, creates the reality of this waking world, just like the self in you, conditioned by the color of the dream, creates the dream world, which you will know as a waker. The dream world is created because your subconscious thoughts have conditioned the self in you to project. Deep sleeper experiences nothing. So this is first step is mind is created. As soon as mind is created, automatically projection is created. The automatic step. And as soon as a projection is created, the world is created. Each world has its own rules of engagement. Each world is real unto itself. For the waker, his world is real. For dreamer, his world is real. For deep sleeper, nothingness is real. It's a reality unto itself. Each of those worlds have a rule of engagement. So the self in you now takes on a different avatar. Put it up, last slide. So the self in you, now that you are experiencing a world, first it animates your mind, and spontaneously you experience the world, you see the world. Now that you're seeing the world, the self in you functions as that which animates, governs, and controls the rules of engagement that maintain this world. This is what we have learned, that we are seeing a world. This world is a construct of infinite number of laws. All these laws are unyielding, irrefragable, immutable, they do not change. So what maintains them? The irrefragability of these laws. We infer it to a omniscient, omnipotent power, which is called the self, which is called God. So he is the controller, animator, governor, orchestrator of the laws of this world. We can't mess with them. So you cannot mess with karma. What is it that must strike you there on the left? What is it that must strike you on the left? On the left
Sir,
of
we
this
cannot.
chart.
Sir, we cannot see the picture. We cannot see the picture. Make it big. Omkar, make it big.
Everybody can see the slide on the screen now.
You'll
The
have
slide
to
is
adjust.
complete now.
Yeah. You'll have to adjust your screen resolution.
We can see.
Is anybody not seeing the full slide? It's a triangle.
We cannot read.
Everybody seeing it?
Yes, sir, we can see it.
Milind, when you reduce your screen size, I had the same issue.
If you can't read anyway, I can't help it now. I have to go ahead. Maybe you can, I don't know if you can lock this slide and then forward it. Just the slide you can forward on PDF or whatever you want.
Yes, yes, I'll do that. I'll do that after the class. Yes.
Just total slide is there, so it's fine. So they can think about it. Anyway, most of you can see on the left you're writing, written there, self animates, governs and controls any of these worlds. What is it that must strike you?
It doesn't say create.
Control.
It doesn't say create.
No, it doesn't say create. That is what Bharat is saying is right. The word creator is not there. We have been brainwashed into believing that God has created this world. The word creator is not here. It's not something that is missed out. The word creator is not here. Universally, people believe that God has created this world. Where this world has come from? Is there? Where it come from? Obviously, there has to be if there's a shoe, there has to be a shoemaker. If there's a book, there is a bookmaker. So there is a barrier of the world cannot come unless there is a creator. The word creator is not there. Because the masters tell us that God did not create this world. So therefore, don't put blame on him for something which he is not responsible for. The word creator is not there in this slide. It is not a slip.
Sir, may I?
1 minute. As far as this slide is concerned, it is absolutely correct that we cannot use the word creator. You may believe, disbelieve a separate issue. But if you stay with the slide, then he cannot be created. Why? Why? This is what I'm asking the class.
So my question is also regarding this slide only.
I'm asking you to answer that question, however impossible it may be, that if this is so, necessarily self is not the creator. If this is so, necessarily self is not the creator. So I'm asking you, why? You tell me.
Because the mind is a creator of the world, and the mind is born because of the ignorance of the self.
So therefore, the world has come from where? The world
From
has
your
come
mind,
from
your mind, projection
Correct.
from your
So
mind.
your mind is a flow of, is only a construct of thought, no? So from your thoughts, the world has been crystallized. Just like your dream world is, you know that your waking mind is only an amalgam of thought. So from that thought, there has been a crystallization of reality for the dreamer. So the reality of the dream world is actually only imagination of the waker's mind, is it not? The reality of the dream world, as a waker, you know, is only a projection of my mind. It has got no piece of substance to. Are you with me?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so if you carry that forward, at this point of time, your waker seeing this world. For you, the waker, this world is real. For the self in you, it's a projection of your mind. The self says, I have nothing to do with it. But without you, since you put this mind in front of me, my job is to project it. So I project it. That's all. I have not created anything. If you follow this slide, necessarily it means any world that you see is merely a projection of your own mind. Projection is not a creation, it's a piece of imagination. You just stay there. It is important to understand we have not put the word creator. And to lend credibility to that, Whoever is self-realized asserts this. What does Lord Krishna say? I am asking classroom. What does Lord Krishna say? Those of you who have done the Gita, I am asking. Anybody? Diba, what does Lord Krishna say? Yes, Dipraj, what does what does Lord Krishna say?
I don't know, sir.
Many devotees. No, I'll tell you what he said. He says, I got so many devotees there. All of them are sincere in their own way, but all of them have lost the plot. Whole lot. There are people who worship me for material sake. There are people who worship me for solace. There are people who worship me for my knowledge. Whole lot have lost the plot. Because scarce one knows me in essence, because all are confused by my own Maya. Maya is projection of a reality which actually not a reality, which we come to later on. But just to appease your mind, I'm telling you that there is no world that exists standalone, which will be there after you go and which will remain there after you die. This is what you believe. You have to believe it now for the waker. It doesn't exist. Once you exit, everything exists with you. This is a necessary assumption. But to appease your mind, I'm telling Bharat, you give him the slide in the meantime of Rumi, if you can find it fast enough, and forward it to
The world is a dream one, right?
Yep. Adi Sankaracharya in Bhajagovindam, he says the same thing, that who are you, who am I, why don't you investigate? When you investigate, you will appreciate the whole thing is meaningless, born of imagination. Then why are you putting so much premium on this? Get back to where you belong. Bhajagovindam, seek the self. He's telling you, foolish mind, seek the self. Why are you getting entangled in something which is born of imagination? He's got no piece of substance. He never created the world. Don't make him responsible for something that he has not done. If God created what you see in the world today, sir, I'm asking class, how much of misery, difficulty, cruelty, and how much of kindness you see in the world, proportion? Are you saying the world is full of kindness and love and here and there a little bit of difficulty and misery? Or is it full of difficulty and misery and here and there you see some kindness? I'm asking, what is the proportion you see in the world?
The misery is more.
So is God, who's supposed to be benevolent and all-powerful, he really make a design like that? He must be sadist now. I am not quoting Krishnamurti said. He said that when you see the kind of misery there is in the world, 1% are enjoying everything at the cost of 99% who are suffering. If this is what God has done and he takes pleasure in it, he must be sadist. He is not created for God's sake. Don't put on his watch what he doesn't, what he's not done. Have you found this one, Apna? Bharat?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Send him. He'll put it up.
Put it up, put it up. There, Ruby. This place, see, self-realized fellow. This place is a dream. Only the dreamer considers it real. Then death comes like dawn and you wake up laughing at what you thought was your grief. Just like when you are sleeping, you are going through the trauma of the dream. If you have a traumatic dream, you wake up all of a sudden because something nasty was happening there. When you wake up, you will ask, what is your stupidity? So when death means death of ignorance, the dawn of knowledge dispels the veil of darkness. When that dispels that veil totally, you wake up to the self and then you laugh at what you thought was your grief. So the masters are validating. But between the validation of the master and the primary theorem that they're putting to us, that self alone is, and this world which you see is an illusion, there is a lot of corroborative data. That bit by bit we have to pick up that corroborative data, and so that the whole thing fits as a matter of conviction. We cannot keep having a blind faith. We must have a conviction. So these are the things we are going to do in the next 2 classes. But we have to start somewhere. So I'm going to start with one slide today. So far, has anybody got any question?
Sir, that means for my world, I am responsible 100%.
Sorry?
The whatever world I am perceiving, feeling in my blood, I am 100% responsible for it. My mind is 100% responsible.
You are worried where in your blood?
No, sir.
I am worried where?
Sir, I am alive, and I am perceiving the world. I am feeling the world in my body, in my mind. So the whatever world I am perceiving and feeling in my body, I am only responsible for it. There is no independent existence for the world.
The way you are seeing your world is different from the way the gentleman your left and right is seeing. You are seeing the world, no? You have children? Yes or no?
Sir. Yes, sir.
So son and daughter, what is it? What do you got?
Son, sir.
So the way your son sees the world is the way you see?
No, he will not see, sir. Definitely.
Thank you very much. The way you see the world, your son is seeing it?
He sees it in different perspectives, sir.
No. So you are telling him, son, where is your world? He's telling you, dad, where is your world? But for him, his world is real. For you, your world is real. The way you are seeing your world, your wife is seeing.
No, she sees in different way.
What is the eternal mystery for a man? You are a man. What is the mystery for you? God, mystery of God, you will figure out. You cannot figure out what mystery of God. I can assure you, you will figure out the mystery of God in the next 3 sessions, but another mystery you will not figure out. What is the mystery you will not figure out? I'm asking you, sir. What is your name? Jai, no?
Jai, sir.
Thank you. Which is a mystery you will not figure out in this lifetime and in the next 6 also. God's mystery you will figure out, but
why
one other mystery you will not figure. Which one?
Why your wife can't see the way you can?
Correct. You cannot understand the mystery of your wife's mind. You figure it out. How many years you got married? You are married. Since how many years have you got remained married? कितना साल हो गया सर?
Sir, मेरा तो 30 साल हो गया सर. 30 years over.
30 साल. I also got married for in 30 years. You figured out your wife's mind. You're not figured out. No? So it's the eternal mystery. No? So she also said, men will be men, women will be women. You understand? So we have to live together. So figure out. So what I'm trying to tell you, that for her, she sees the world according to her mind. So that is her reality. You see the world according to your mind. So that is your reality. So you are telling her what you see in that, and she's telling you what you see in this. You understand? So in that sense, what you're saying is that your world is your mind.
Sir,
as you change your mind, your world will change.
I understand that aspect, sir. I understand, but it mystifies me to note that world doesn't exist without me.
What? The world doesn't exist outside of your mind, correct? But the world you see is what your mind projects. You clean up your mind, you will see the world in a particular. If you have divinity in your, if you are centered in the self in you, you will see the world as an expression of the self. If you are materialistic, you will see the world in materialistic colors. If you have a cynical mind, you will see a world which is not worth living. Everything you will see wrong. As your mind, so is the world that you will see. You get it? So you clean your mind, you clean the world. Change your mind, you change the world. Conquer your mind, you conquer the world. That's the law of life.
But I always feel, sir, there is some objective reality independent of me.
That is what the dreamer also believes. when you dream, the dreamer is saying there is objective reality independent of me. I will come, I will go, my reality remains. You are saying the same thing. That when I die, the world is going to remain, it's not going to collapse. And the world was already there when I entered it. You follow? That is the limitation of the waker's perception. But if you look at it from the standpoint of the self, so when you become the self, you realize this is also another dream. So what the masters tell us that when you ask, is this, you're asking the master, is this world real? Master is not saying no. He's saying it is real, but it is real, asterisk it is putting. It is real, asterisk. Asterisk is what? What is the asterisk for? The asterisk says that it is as real to you as the dream world is real for the dreamer. That is the asterisk. Aap samajh gaya? Then you would say, but sir, the dream world to humbug hai sahab. Dream world is fake news. You're telling him, no? Dream world to humbug hai sahab. It's fake news. It is fake news for who?
Waker.
For you, Jai, the waker, it is fake news. No? You understand? So, similarly, this world to the waker is as real as the dream world is for the dreamer. But to me, the self in me, unencumbered by the stupidity of your mind, this world is another dream. There is enough mischief we have played for today's class. Huh? Next week we will take up a little bit step by step.
Sir, I have one question, or is it late?
Yeah. Who is speaking?
I'm Ganesh.
Ganesh, are you on the screen somewhere?
Yes.
Not on my now. But I can't see your face.
Ganesh,
yes. Thank you.
So the question is, sir, the mind creates the world. So self-realized
projects the world.
Projects the world.
No, you slow down. The mind cannot create a world. Please.
Okay.
Slow down, because you made important point for us to think for the next 1 week. Your subconscious mind cannot create the dream world. Your subconscious mind is only pool of thought. No? You know it's a pool of thought only, abstract thought. That abstract thought has been converted into solid reality in the world. So your mind by itself can create. I'm asking you, slow down.
So I can't hear you.
You are a dog which died and you love the dog. Assume. You understand? Now you want to play with him in your living room again, as just for nostalgia's sake. You can create the dog in your living room. You cannot create it. At best, you will have an imagination. You can see it, imagine it. You can't create it. But in the dream, the dog is real. No? Dream, dog is flesh and blood. No? So how the thought in your mind has become flesh and blood in the dream is what I'm asking. Or anything else. The whole dream world is solid. There's so many beings there, all of them got flesh and blood. The animals are all moving, all real. Everything is real. Seasons are real. Flooding is real. Sunshine is real in the dream. All of them are only thoughts in your mind. How did they become real? I'm asking. When you, as a waker, you can answer it. If my voice is loud and I'm trying, I think both people to think. You can answer the question. Not a big deal. What is a logical way to give the answer? Yes. When my fully conscious mind cannot create a reality, even though I want to create, I can't create. The subconscious mind is a half-power mind. You know, its acuity is much lower. How is it able to create reality? How is it able to create real dog, real grandmother, real chicken? There, I'm asking. When it has gone off, somebody can help him. Deepak, can you help him?
Sir, I'm there, but we could not hear you, sir. I think there was some technical Wi-Fi issues. We could not hear you. I could not hear
Can you hear me now?
Very faintly.
Can you hear me now, Ganesh?
Very faintly, very faintly.
Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yes,
we can
sir.
hear you now.
Yes, sir.
Okay. What I said was that if you are fully conscious just now and you cannot create a reality for yourself, like I gave an example of your pet dog who died or your grandmother who died, as much as you loved her, you want to imagine, you can't create your grandmother in your living room now. You can't create. It's just imagination. But in the dream, the grandmother becomes real. She got flesh and blood. The dog is real. You can actually play with your dog in the dream. It is as real here. So, and your subconscious mind is only half power. So if your subconscious mind, fully conscious mind can't create, subconscious mind cannot create. But the fact of the matter is there are real dogs and real grandmothers in the dream for the dreamer. How does that happen? This is the logic. This is the, how does it happen? It requires another variable to kick in. It requires another entity to kick in to complete the projection of thought into reality. What is that variable within you?
Is it your vasana?
From your vasana, your subconscious mind is there. Those subconscious mind, some elements of thought have become your reality of the dream. How did that happen?
Strong desire. That's what I can think.
That strong desire has created a reality. How did it happen? How did a thought become a reality? How did thought of dog become a live dog? This is what I am asking. You have a thought of dog here? No. Are you able to make a live dog in front of you just now?
No.
You can't make a live dog out of you just now because it is dead. You are only it is dead. You can bring another dog separate issue. You can't bring. But in your dream, that same thought of dog becomes live. You are playing with that dog. How does it become alive?
Because those thoughts are now being enlivened by the self.
Correct. The self, unless the self in you has the power to animate thought into reality, it cannot be brought into reality. Is an inference, is an indicator of the self in you.
Okay.
It's a life-giving principle. So life-giving principle plugs into any area for that duration. That is the inference. Similarly, the self, when you animating your thought, is projecting its work. Since you asked the question, we've got enough mischief for 1 week. Thank you very much.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.